Ivory. My name is Hitechi and I'm your host today. So, thank you very much for being a part of this. Please welcome Ivory Morgan, the founder and CEO of Storybook Events, a globally recognized event planning company for social and corporate events. So, over to you, Ivory. I have a few questions and thank you, firstly, very much for being part of this. So, what made you start this business and what was the vision behind starting it?
Storybook Events got started simply because I had worked for so many other people and realized the service and the focus that I had was not aligned with the people I were employed by. So I wanted to add more customer service, more attention to detail, more compassion and concern. Not that they were, but I just didn't agree with all their philosophy.
Wow. So, of course, event planning is definitely challenging at times, especially when there are sudden changes or requests. So, as a businesswoman, what are your thoughts on handling a last minute challenges and unexpected circumstances?
Things that are like happening right now, a couple that found out the bride was being abused. So I called off the wedding and spoke to her because I'm a pastor. I also deal with victims of abuse. So by finding that out, I actually sat down and talked to her, asked her some important questions. And when she answered honestly, I said, then you need to call off the wedding and I'm going to do it for you and help you. So we're going to do another event. It just won't be the wedding. Things like that happen. Deaths in family, mind changes, human nature can put a wrinkle in the best laid plans. It's always about catching the client's vision and doing what they want and what their wishes are.
Absolutely. So, when it comes to marketing your own business, how do you market your business? What are the channels do you use to reach your audience? And do you use social media? Do you indoor, outdoor? How does that help you?
Everything. I started with attending every networking meeting, handing out business cards, and making relationships. I'm very big on building relationships. I think if you build the relationship, the business will come. And people will do business with you because they get to know you and know what kind of person you are. So I did the networking, and from that I put ads in publications that were targeted market for my particular business and what I do. And then for social media, you can probably tell I'm definitely not of that generation of being social savvy. So I went to people that were and build a team and have them do it for me and work with me for helping. It's a good way to get an intern involved in the company that wants to do other things, but they already have that skill. So it's just some of everything
Right.
and trying it all.
Yeah, I mean, of course, sometimes young mind comes up with different thought process, and social
Yeah.
media in today's time is so important. So, of course, I think this is definitely one way to go about. But when about getting your organization? So, say for example, why should people turn up to your event planning solutions? How are you different? How does your organization differ from the others? What is your vision for your own venture?
Well, I tell everyone that we may not be the best at what we do, but you can't beat us for creativity. We're extremely creative. And I'm very proud of that. I tell my clients I have a glue gun, I can do anything. It's capturing the vision, giving them their um, desires. And I've been coined the name Wishmaster because I come with unlimited supply of wishes. And it's about making them come true. So what do I do that makes me different? I think thinking outside the box, blowing the box up, uh, having more focus on what can we do that's unexpected. When too much isn't enough, I add more. And it's just constantly being more creative and unique.
Wow. So it's is a whole idea for your creativity, is it you or is it a team that develops it together?
It mostly starts with me and my client and listening to them and what they want. And then I have brainstorming sessions with my designers and other people on board. And Some of them, it's like you're trying to hold them back with one hand and help them with the other because they are so extremely creative. And we have to keep in mind budget constraints and other things like that. And creative people aren't always so focused on what we're being paid. And if you do an event that, a flower arrangement for them is $100, but you make it look like 300, and they tell a friend, you've got to bear in mind that that's what the next client works. So you've got to be honest, you've got to be truthful, you've got to be focused on what you're offering and staying within the guidelines of what your client wants.
Right. So, what is your advice and on planning and staying within the budget? Because that is again very important. And what, according to you, should young entrepreneurs keep in mind, considering budget being a major constraint here?
The big factor is your client is going to be hesitant to tell you what their budget is in the first place. They may have one. Most often than not, they have no idea what it's going to cost to do an event.
Yeah.
We're full service, so it's not only planning floral decor, wedding officiant for weddings, or any aspect. I have a professional cake baker that works with us, and linens, and you name it, we offer it. So even a spa day, where I work with a spa that I can send a couple or a team in that will actually have the opportunity for them to enjoy the day with who's ever in their party and their guests and whatever they want. We even do luxury children's parties. So with that being said, the biggest focus is if they tell you their budget's 10,000, don't come back with 999. Try to leave some leeway and some focus to be able to let them know if there's something extra, they've got a little cushion for it. Be as fair as possible. Know your worth. If you're not where you need to be, study to learn how you are. Use your own materials. I see a lot of young entrepreneurs that borrow photos, especially on social media, from other people. They should give credit to those people and say they like that work. Be willing to do some free events to get your own images. Do your own stylized photo shoots to show what you can do. Start out small, plan big, and be as honest and have as much integrity as you possibly can to always only deliver what you're capable of delivering. Don't promise more if you can't do it, because then they're disappointed, feelings are hurt, and you may not get off the ground because you've already blown yourself up before you had a chance to really show your success.
Totally agree. So, of course, there are a lot of creative ideas and thought process comes your way. So, what are your thoughts on outsourcing these operational needs, or maybe to make it more cost effective? Do you sometimes outsource them? Do you think it is a good idea to do so, or would you want to make it within the team? And how big is your team?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I just want to know, how big is your team as well?
My team ranges from 14 to 28 people, depending on what the number of guests are and what we have. And depending on where we are, because we're international as well as national, there are team members that belong to the group that are not in our actual state of Virginia where we're based. They might be in DC, they might be in California. So wherever we are, we have team members and people. Outsourcing, absolutely. I have clients that come to me that already have maybe a planner and they only need a florist, or they only want a wedding officiant because it's a wedding and they've got everything else. You can have whatever you want. We will work with you and whoever you choose according to what your wishes are, because it's all about you in that day and we don't get a chance to do it over. It's got to be done right the first time. So outsourcing is fine. Do that a lot. I'm cost effective in that if you can find somebody that can do the quality of what we do at the price we offer, by all means use them. And I will still remain your planner. I still will work with you. You're not obligated to use all my services just because I offer them.
Right. No, I totally agree. It's better to keep it things in a way where the creative also helps, as well as the client should be very satisfied and happy. So I totally get that. Coming to your team, do you have a separate team for research and industry trends to understand what is happening, what is new in the market, or what is new in the creative aspect? Or is it important for you to find that, or do you think that retaining or finding in your own business is as important? Which do you like to balance more? Or, I mean, would you like to
For
challenge?
me, I want to keep my finger on the pulse of all of it. So background research, what's trend, and my personal philosophy is we don't follow trend, we set it. And there's some things that I've been technically proud of that we've been light years ahead of everybody else. And we were doing, for example, black wedding cakes. It just got popular late last year, and we were already doing them. I try to set an idea and a concept of what's going to come and what you think is going to happen. And I deal a lot with overseas and international. So they get a lot of stuff before we get it stateside. So that helps with local and then keeping abreast of other things that are going on
Right.
worldwide. For me, it's personal. My name's on it. At the bottom line, they're looking for me, not a team member. And I have a great group of wonderful people that I couldn't do it without them. But the trade off is I've got to know. And I've got to be resting assured that at the end of the day, I know what is going on and how it's going on, and not, so to speak, stick my head in the sand and not be aware. So I'm a researcher. I love books. Why else storybook events?
Yeah.
So reading, researching, and checking out. And nowadays you can Google anything and find out so much. So and talking to other people. Contrary to popular opinion, I get along with other planners. I get along with other florists. I have great relationships with my colleagues. So we brainstorm together and we come up with ideas and concepts. And if I can't use them, perhaps they can. And so we all share ideas and thoughts of what is going to be the best to offer to our clientele.
That's great way of going ahead, and I really hope young minds see this and definitely feel inspired from your, setting a trend is one of the major things. I really loved it. So do you prefer um, working independently, or do you always think that having a team is important?
Depends on the circumstances. As a wedding officiant, it's me, and I have a team of 8, including myself, and everybody has their concept of the best wedding they can offer a couple as an officiant, but we have guidelines that are followed. Um, when it comes to floral, same thing. Mechanics have to be impeccable. I don't want to see a fingerprint on a vase. And there are times that I can do it. And there are times that I have to have a team. I always have a second. I never go to anything without a second person with me just to oversee. If I've ran a rehearsal, dinner, or something of that nature, there's somebody with me. And there's always an intern, someone learning, because I mentor and work with other planners that are in the field to learn. And I have been known to, they're starting out. I take off my uniform for my own company of Storybook Events, and I put on theirs, and I go and I help them as part of their staff. And if they are getting up and they don't have enough of quality materials and vases and stuff, I'll loan them mine, because there's enough to go around for everybody. And at some point, I don't know if I'll do this forever, but somebody should be taking it over to do it, and always, be a consultant and be there. And I love to instruct, and I love to help, and I love to see everybody successful.
That's a very positive way of going ahead, and I wish people who are learning with you and under you should really have a great opportunity. They definitely have a great opportunity, and I wish you all the best there. And how do you measure the success of an event?
Referrals. When you have a family that you've done 14 weddings for, when you have a client that repetitively comes back and you do every birthday, every anniversary, every baby christening, um, everything that they want, and or they're referring somebody to you, and somebody's reaching out and saying, I noticed you had an event planner, what'd you think of them? And they like you and they refer you, or they give you great reviews. How do I measure my success? Only by the last event I did. And was it good? Did it measure up to par? I don't believe in cutting corners and making do and shortchanging. The last event has to be as great as the very first one we ever did. And I never lose my excitement and my enthusiasm for the very next one, because it's a new one and it's fresh.
Yes.
And you may not have an opportunity to do anything for them, but you want to have a lasting memory. And I like them having the warm and fuzzies and excited over it.
That's great. So, and what's your message to the people joining this industry?
It's more than having a notebook and writing notes. I have personally said some event planners, everybody thinks if they have a notebook and can take notes, they're a wedding planner or they're an event planner. Not so. Don't hesitate to take some training, get some classes under your belt, get mentored by others, join a group of event planners that have some experience. Look online of how somebody else does it. Pick up the phone and call us and ask us. Tell us you're getting ready to do this event and what do we suggest. One of my senior staff members is actually working with another event planner and helping her. And they both come back and say, what do you think about this? And what do you think about this idea? And do this. And my thing is make it your own event. It's nice to take ideas and concepts from other people. I love doing that. We've been endorsed and validated by Preston Bailey, which to me is a big kudo as a company because of his endorsement and his support of my company. I love his work. He's over the top. He's exceptional. Um, David Tatera and a lot of people that everybody knows who they are when they drop names. They do great work. You can get an idea and a concept from them and scale it down where it's affordable for your client. You can build on it and come up with something even better. I don't know if anybody is familiar with a show, for example, that was Platinum Weddings. It was ages ago, it was Platinum Weddings. There was a particular show where they had $5,000 vases. They had 4 big vases. They were 8 feet tall, custom blown. They were like $5,000 a piece. They had what they called the gem of Persia in each one. It hung like a little dangle with this big gem at the bottom. Loved, loved, loved the concept. But I knew locally I wasn't going to have a client that was going to pay $5,000 for one vase, much less get one custom blown. So I found that I could shorten the vase to maybe 45 to 63 inches tall. It was still a nice tall vase, but I could use a smaller gem. And I gave the concept to a client, but it was done smaller. So you get ideas from everybody. I look at pictures. I have an inspirational book. I call it my big idea book. I'm now on my 4th big idea book. And you take those ideas, those concepts, and let them get your creativity and your uniqueness of how you view them going. And then you make it your own. You, what I call, add your own cha-cha, your own technique, your own tweak to it, and you've tweaked it where it's your personal taste and your style. It took me a long time to really know my style. I did everything, and I did everybody's weddings, and I did everybody's events, and I used everything from rustic to Hollywood glam. I now know my style and my taste. It took me a minute to know what I prefer, but I still can do it all.
Wow, that's great. So, how much time does you basically spend, or rather, your time does in in get involved in? Is it business operations? Is it business strategy? Or is it client relationship building? Where does most of your time get into?
It's balanced. Like Mondays are for working on paperwork, getting proposals back, and the necessities of what your business is and it's overseen. Social media and all of that's been turned over, so I no longer do anything other than thrilled that it's posted. Um, Client relationships are built when there's an opportunity because the phone rings or something. We're at the point that I've actually had to turn business away. We just can't take anybody else on. We're already working on 2023 and 2024.
Right.
Um, and we're excited about what we're doing and what we have because, as everybody knows, we've been coming out of COVID and event planning was the first hit. And I knew that it was coming because I had just come back from Europe and I saw what was happening there. And as they said, it was lapping at my heels when I landed here in the States, knowing that I immediately started making calls that we were rescheduling. So it's a balance, it's a juggling act. I don't have one more than I do in another. It's shifting and determining what needs to be done at that particular time. And every day and every week is different.
Right,
And that's the
absolutely. I mean,
moment
there are
too.
times I agree. I agree that you're balancing every aspect of your thing, and of course, there are there are plans and there are strategies where you can, divide it in your team. So that also becomes a very different aspect here. So has pandemic hit you at any cost? Because definitely, as you mentioned, weddings have been a major hit here. Has pandemic maybe has been challenging year for you, or has it been smooth?
We were the first to hit. Our big last wedding was December 29th, 2019. No business. All through the 2020. And I simply turned off the lights. And I'm a master tailor. I sew. So the first thing I did was, what am I going to do? And a lot of my clients from Storybook ask me to make them masks because they know I sew. So I researched and got involved with making bridal masks, groom masks, and just masks that were going to protect people from the aspect of what they needed to do concerning COVID. I took classes, I took courses. I wanted to know about how to trace, track, and find out what COVID would do. So I became certified in all of that. It's greatly helpful because as a event planner, I know how to set up a sanitation station and do all that. Yes, we got hit very hard. For me, I cut out all the excess and the waste. If I didn't need the service and I was paying for it, be it a credit card service, be it anything, I canceled all of it. I just I stopped the bleed of anything that wasn't going to be productive because we were literally not doing business. I just moved to another direction of what I already was doing, but just in a greater scale. Wedding officiating, we were still doing, still have been, that never ceased. And other things like that, consultations, brides calling, and a lot of them wanting to do it themselves, and sharing with them how to do it themselves and walking them through having a backyard wedding. Still making bouquets. I do weddings in a box. I was shipping. We're eco-friendly, sustainable. So I was sending permanent botanicals, which most people know as silk, worldwide. I was doing weddings in a box and shipping them off. So you just kind of flex with whatever's going on and keep it moving. We're now back full-fledged, full gear, and everything that I counseled, I've reinstated, and we're just back to moving it right along. My staff, they weren't sitting at home. They all have other things that they were doing. We're only special events, so I'm not a day-to-day florist. So they all have regular jobs and activities that they do because they're on call when we have an event. And for most of them, I have to let them know weeks in advance so that I make sure that I'm booked with them. A couple of them are actually event planners in their own right, and they have their own business. So, and they help me and team with me. So it's just kind of whatever needs to be done, and you just flex for whatever was going on.
Right. So, do you think that retaining is very important, or also finding new clients is more important than just sticking to the retaining?
I think it's a balance, like everything else that you do. The repetitive clients, absolutely. Weddings, for example, as an event planner, every time you do a wedding, you got to have a new one.
Right.
They'll eventually maybe have a first year anniversary. They might have a revowing at 5 to 10 years. Maybe they want a 20-year, and you're like, well, have it before I'm too old to do it. But for the most part, it's new clients and it's new business. And for us, that comes with a lot of referrals. We get a lot of referrals, and people that hear about us and like our work and what we do. I've been hired because they've seen a photo of me on the internet and went, I like your look. You look like my aunt, or you look like my sister, or you remind me of my mom. My
That's so
latest
sweet.
brides are calling me bride mom. So it's different times for different people. There's no set rule.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree. And last but not the least, how is it being a woman like? Balancing your personal life and your professional life is definitely not an easy task. Has it been smooth for you? Has it been challenging? Because when it comes to events, you have lots of things on your plate when you do not have time to focus on your personal aspect. How do you manage that?
Like anything, I take quality time. You've got to be good at time management to be an event planner. If you're not good with your time and doing timelines and doing the event itself, life is a bigger picture of what you do in a smaller scale for events. So I give quality time to my family, and there are days that it's like this is family time. There are times that you can't get away and you just have to let family know. My biggest cheerleader in my case is my husband. He's part of Storybook's team. He is our lift, carry, and tote guy, and he's security when we need to because of his professional career and background. It's just kind of you make it work because you choose to. All my children are, grown, very grown, and grandbabies and everything that go along with that. So with me, it's not been difficult at all because I just have to manage really well, and I try to give quality time for everything. The most important thing is to give you time, and I would definitely say give yourself a schedule. When I started, I was 24/7. I've now learned I can set business hours and actually work during those business hours and work smarter. Am I going to have a meeting with a client after hours? Sure, because that may be the only time they're available, as I have one tomorrow evening. It just depends on what the circumstances are, but make time for yourself above all.
That's great. Firstly, I really thank you very much for being a part of this. This was really, really great you being a part of this, because we really hope that a lot of women, a lot of new young entrepreneurs or people who would like to appreciate, we really want them to, your interview should inspire them, because you have experience for so many years, and that is something which we're really looking forward to. Thank you very much, Ivory, for being a part of this. We really appreciate it for your time, and I hope you have a nice day.
Thank you so much for the invite. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Stay encouraged.
You too. Please take care. Bye. Take care.
Bye.